Welcome back to the Ultimate Trumpet Podcast, the show where we talk about the stuff that actually keeps you playing. I'm Adam, here as always with Bella, and today we're getting into something every single one of you owns and almost none of you thinks about. Your case!
Your case. The most ignored $400 decision in your whole musical life. And before anybody tunes out thinking this is going to be boring, just wait, because this one got me genuinely fired up.
It should. So today's episode is based on a new article over at trumpetstudio.com by Michael Droste, and Bella, the hook he opens with, is so good I want to steal it.
Go ahead, steal it.
He says ask a trumpet player what they paid for their horn, and they'll tell you the exact number down to the dollar. Ask them what they carry it in, and you get a shrug.
A shrug! And it's true, right? We obsess over the lead pipe, the bell, the mouthpiece gap, and then we drop this beautiful, expensive instrument into whatever zippered thing came in the box, and we never think about it again.
Until the day a music stand tips over onto it, or you set it down on a loading dock and somebody kicks it. The case is the only thing standing between your horn and a very bad afternoon.
Okay, so let's start with the big myth. Because I think a lot of people assume the most expensive case is automatically the most protective case. True or false?
False. Gloriously false. And this is the thread running through the whole article. The expensive case is not automatically the protective one. The real question is never just, is this a good case? It's protective against what for the way I actually travel.
Say more about that because that reframed the whole thing for me.
So think about it. The dangers your horn faces depend entirely on your life. If you're a church and rehearsal player, your horn faces scuffs, a tipped stand, knocking the bell on a door frame. If you're a touring road dog, your horn is getting thrown in the back of a packed van and crushed under a bass amp. Those are completely different threats, and they call for completely different cases.
Which means there is no single best case.
There is no single best case. Anybody who tells you otherwise is selling you something. Every case is a compromise.
All right, so before we name names, the article lays out how to actually judge a case, and I want to hit these because they're the part people skip. The first one surprised me. There isn't one kind of protection. There are three.
3 flavors. So, a molded case shapes a hard shell tightly around the horn, and that's great against crushing. A suspended case floats the instrument inside the shell, so an impact to the outside never reaches the metal, and that's the gold standard for drops. And then a foam case just packs cushioning around the horn inside a semi-rigid bag. And honestly, that's the most forgiving against the little daily bumps that cause most of your dings.
And the marketing always implies one of those is the winner.
Always. And it's never that simple. It depends on whether your case is going to get dropped, crushed, or just gently abused all day long.
Number 2 on the list, and this is the one I'd argue is the most underrated, weight.
Weight is a feature, Bella, not a footnote.
People don't believe that until they're walking 6 blocks from parking to a wedding gig carrying a horn, a mute bag, a stand, and a folder of music.
And here's the trap. The most protective case in the world is worthless if it's so heavy you leave it home and grab the flimsy bag for the quick gig instead. The case you actually carry is the one that protects your horn. And a quick warning from the article, by the way, watch the listed weights, because some sellers quote shipping weight, which includes the box.
Sneaky. Okay, number 3, and I think this is one that quietly ruins horns, fit and security.
This one matters more than the padding. A horn that shifts around inside its case is a horn rubbing its own finish off, or worse, taking the full force of a drop on one little unsupported point. The best cases hold the trumpet at the valve casing, which is the strongest part of the instrument, and they pin down the bell and the lead pipe so nothing floats.
And the classic warning sign on a cheaper case is what?
The tuning slide or the whole horn works loose because there's no top pad holding it down. You'll hear that complaint over and over on the budget cases.
And then the last one, which I love because it's so true. Hardware is where cases die.
Nobody's case ever failed because the fabric wore out. They fail at the zippers, the clasps, and the strap clips. So, big tooth YKK zippers, a number 10 is the benchmark, and metal hardware instead of plastic. That stuff is worth real money. Plastic clasps and thin little zippers are where you'll be cursing in 3 years.
Okay, we've got the framework. Let's name some names because this is what everyone's waiting for. Where do we start?
We start where the pros start. Marcus Bonner.
The Brazilian cases. If you walk into any professional orchestra locker room, this is the case you see more than any other.
For good reason. It's a lightweight fiberglass shell with a removable nylon or leather cover and a fully modular foam interior, so you arrange the pads to cradle whatever you own. And here's the part I love. When the outer cover wears out, you recover it. You don't buy a whole new case.
That repairability is huge. What does it run?
A single's roughly $370 to $450 depending on the cover, a double's around $430, a triple's near $490, and the 4-trumpet compact is about $630. And the multi-horn cases are where Bonner really pulls ahead, because the interiors reconfigure to swap a trumpet slot for a flugelhorn, and they still carry as a backpack even loaded up.
So what's the downside? Because you promised me every case is a compromise.
Supply. Bonner ships to dealers in batches, roughly every 90 days, so if your dealer's out of the color or setup you want, you might be waiting months. And the fiberglass shell is light and tough against impact, but it's not an armored tank against crushing. It's a smart, light, protective case, not a flight case.
Got it. Who's it for?
The player who wants one case for the next decade, especially anybody carrying more than one horn. If I were buying a multi-trumpet case tomorrow, that's the first place I'd look.
All right, next up. And this is the one for the people who've already survived a disaster. Torpedo bags.
Torpedo. Out of St. Paul, Minnesota, run by a guy named Steve Kriesel, and they make cases for people who are planning for catastrophe. The flagship is the classic. It's about a 6-pound monster, up to 3 inches of foam on every side, heavy ballistic nylon, and it has this almost mythical reputation. Players genuinely report these cases getting run over by a car and the horn coming out fine.
I've heard those stories, but 6 pounds is a lot.
It is, which is why the model I'd point most players toward is the Outlaw. It's a 3-pound hybrid, somewhere between a bag and a hard case, a single piece of plastic wrapping foam all the way around the horn. Light enough to grab without thinking. It comes with this wraparound pouch they call the chuckwalla that holds a full orchestra folder and a stack of mutes.
So for the working player who hates heavy cases but gets nervous with a true gig bag, that's the spot.
That's exactly the spot. And the compromise, straight from the owners themselves, the zipper pulls, and some of the plastic clasps can break over time. The case still works, you just end up pinching the zipper. And a few players have reported the interior rubbing finish off a lead pipe if the fit isn't dialed in just right.
Fair. Okay, the next one I didn't know much about, and it's you called it the most engineered feeling case. Bags of Spain.
The Evolution series. And this is the purest example of the suspended design we talked about. The horn genuinely floats inside a glossy fiberglass shell, and that does 2 things. It isolates the instrument from outside impacts, and it leaves air circulating around the horn, so moisture isn't trapped against the metal.
Oh, that's clever. The airflow thing especially.
They're slim. They come in these gorgeous jewel-tone colors, they weigh under 2 kilos, and bags will custom fit the interior to your exact trumpet at no extra charge.
So what's the catch for us in the States?
Access. There are only a handful of U.S. dealers. Most sales are special order, so there's a wait, and the price lands up in Bonner territory once it gets here. And the protection philosophy is suspend and isolate, not bury in foam, so it shrugs off drops beautifully, but it's got thinner padding than a torpedo against a heavy crush.
Makes sense. Who's it for?
The player who wants the slimmest possible profile for air travel and loves that suspended interior design and doesn't mind ordering and waiting for the perfect fit.
Now, this next one comes with a history lesson I did not know, and it kind of blew my mind. Glenn Cronkite.
This is my favorite story in the whole article. Glenn Cronkite is basically the man who invented the leather gig bag back in the 1970s, and he did it as the founder of Reunion Blues out in San Francisco.
Wait, so the guy who started Reunion Blues and the Cronkite brand are the same person?
Same person. When the Reunion Blues name got sold and production moved overseas, Cronkite kept the rights to his own original designs and patterns, and he went back to building bags by hand in the USA under his own name. So the Cronkite bag isn't a knockoff of Reunion Blues. It's the original, still made the old way.
That's amazing. And here's the fun part you told me before we started rolling.
The shop is now run by Steve Kriesel, the same guy who runs Torpedo Bags, with Cronkite himself still designing. Small world, the case business.
Tiny world. So what are the bags actually like?
Made to order. An inch of high-density foam, top-grain leather, or genuine Cordura, huge number 10 YKK zippers, solid brass rivets, leather binding that won't crack. The leather ones run around $350, and they're famous for lasting decades. Some of the originals from the 70s are reportedly still in service.
But, and you're gonna say it.
But it's a bag. An inch of foam and beautiful leather is wonderful against scuffs and weather and ordinary bumps. But it will not survive a serious drop or a crush the way a fiberglass shell will. And because they're cut and sewn after you order, you wait. So it's for the player who wants something beautiful and heirloom grade for everyday carry and understands it's a bag, not armor.
Which brings us naturally to Reunion Blues, the modern version.
Right. Reunion Blues still makes a genuinely good padded bag, the Continental line, heavily padded, weather-resistant, built for the city musician hauling a horn on foot and on the train. For a lot of players, that's the sweet spot between a flimsy stock bag and a full hard case.
Ban the honest caveat?
The community consensus is that after Cronkite left and production moved offshore, the new bags, while they still use his original patterns, aren't quite the equal of the originals. They're good bags. They're just not the same artifact the vintage ones were. Which, funnily enough, is exactly why the old ones hold their value on the used market.
Okay, now let's talk about the one most regular people will actually buy, because not everybody's dropping $300 or $400. ProTech.
And let me bust a little snobbery here. You do not need to spend $400 to protect a trumpet well. ProTech patented the Pro Pack concept back in 1984. A lightweight, shock-absorbing wood frame wrapped in ballistic nylon, splitting the difference between a wooden case and a gig bag.
And the prices are refreshing after everything we just talked about.
The contoured Pro Pack is about $140. The lighter Max line is around $95 to $105. The Travel Light with a solid wood shell is about $120. And there are triple and quad configs from roughly $125 up to $260. You get a weather-resistant exterior, a molded velvet-lined interior, a mouthpiece cup, a useful front pocket.
So where does it fall short?
It's a mass-market case, and it feels like one next to a Bonna or a Cronkite. The most common real gripe is fit. On some horns, the top padding doesn't pin the instrument firmly, so the trumpet or its slide can shift a little in transit. And it's not in the same protection league as a thick foam torpedo for a serious drop. But pound for dollar, it's the most sensible case most players will ever buy.
I'd put a student in that without hesitation.
A student hauling a horn to school every day, a doubler who needs a cheap second case, or a pro who'd rather spend the saved money on a mouthpiece. Easy recommendation.
There's one more brand I want to make sure we mention because it doesn't get enough love. Guard.
Guard's underrated genuinely. U.S.-made leather and Cordura gig bags plus fiberglass shell cases. Their elite gig bags are elegant and well-built, landing in the $245 to $330 range, and their fiberglass double trumpet cases give you hard shell protection with a leather exterior that makes a Bonna look kind of plain. Like any soft bag, the Elite trades crush protection for weight and elegance, so know which one you're buying. But it's a beautiful alternative if you don't want to default straight to the big names.
And then there's the one we have to talk about, the one that's almost a myth itself. Monette.
The unicorn. And this got personal because Michael Droste actually tells his own story in the article. Some years back, he emailed Monette about a case, and he never got so much as a reply.
Oof. And he's not alone in that, right?
He's really not. And after digging into how the company operates, it actually makes sense, even if it's still frustrating. Monette cases are essentially built for Monette instruments. Historically, they come bundled with the horns. A hand-sewn leather double case packaged with a matched pair, an anvil-style case with a single horn. They're a tiny, famously hard-to-reach custom shop, and their focus is the instruments and the mouthpieces, not filling a la carte case orders from outside players.
So the verdict is basically a non-verdict.
It's a non-verdict. A Monette case is a lovely thing if it comes with a Monette horn, and nearly unobtainable otherwise. So if you don't already own the instrument, it's just not a practical purchase, and you should not feel slighted if your email vanishes into the void. You are in good company. Admire it, and go buy a Bana.
I love that that's the takeaway. Okay, before we wrap, the article kills 3 myths, and I want to rapid-fire them because they're so good.
Let's do it.
Myth 1. A hard case means I can check my horn on a plane.
No. No reasonable trumpet case is rated to survive the cargo hold and the conveyor belts. The whole point of those slim light cases the pros carry is that they fit in the overhead, so the horn never gets checked in the first place. Buy a carry-on friendly case and keep your trumpet with you. Always.
Myth 2. A gig bag will get my horn destroyed.
Way overstated. A good padded bag protects beautifully against the things that actually damage trumpets day to day: scuffs, weather, knocking the bell on a door frame, a stand tipping over. The thing a bag can't cover is the catastrophic drop or the crush. So match the bag to your life.
And myth 3, which I think is the most important one. More foam is always safer.
Not true. Foam protects against bumps. Suspension protects against drops. A rigid shell protects against crushing. 3 inches of foam in a soft-walled bag still transmits a hard drop to the horn if the bag just folds around it. The best protection is a rigid shell, plus smart suspension or a tight fit, which is exactly why most foam wins is the shallowest way to pick a case.
So if somebody's listening right now and they just want to be told what to buy, give me the quick version by player type.
Quick version. Student hauling to school, the ProTech Contoured Pro Pack, or the Torpedo Outlaw if the budget stretches. The working single horn Pro, a Bana single, or that Outlaw. The doubler carrying multiple horns, Bana, no contest. Those modular interiors are unmatched. The frequent flyer, a Bag's Evolution, or a Bana single, slim and carry-on friendly. The precious vintage or custom horn that can't be replaced. The Torpedo Classic for maximum protection. And this is not the place to save $50. And the budget buyer, the ProTech Max with a gator or a crossrock as a fine backup. The only truly bad choice is the structureless bargain bin bag.
There's one last bit in here that I thought was really sweet, and it's personal to Michael Droste.
Yeah, so his own main horn has lived for years in a Rocky Mountain case, and those just aren't made anymore in the form he bought. They were these compact, USA-built cases that players loved, and now they only turn up used. So he came into this whole project the same way a lot of you will, hunting for the closest living replacement to a discontinued favorite.
And what did he land on?
The closest spiritual successors are a Marcus Bana single, for that same lightweight shell feel, or the Torpedo Outlaw, for the modern take on small, light, and more protective than it looks. And for anybody else mourning a discontinued case, the used market, Reverb especially, is where these well-built old cases go to find second homes, often for a fraction of what their quality deserves. As he puts it, a great case, like a great horn, tends to outlast the company that made it.
That's a beautiful place to land. Adam, this was a fun one.
It really was. Hey, if you're enjoying the show, do us a quick favor and leave us a rating and a review on the Apple Podcasts app or wherever you listen. It genuinely helps other trumpet players find us. And while you've got your phone out, go check out the Trumpet Studio app. It's loaded with practice material to keep you sharp between gigs.
And speaking of staying sharp, here's the part where we send you off to do the real work.
If you need the latest practice material, be sure to check out The Ultimate Warm-Up Book for Trumpet and The Ultimate Technical Study for Trumpet. If you're getting ready for the gigging season, don't forget your copy of The Ultimate Wedding Book for Trumpet.
Protect your horn, friends. It costs you what it costs you.
Now go practice!